Tankers, welcome back to another one of my videos. Today we are going to be going over the Y5 Firefly, the Tier 6 Unidentified Nation event tank in the Blitz Turns 5 event. Now starting off, I'm going to go over the statistics. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to start doing it if you guys do like it. Starting off, it has 1,010 hit points. Now, just going to put this out there, I do run the hit point buff just because this tank has so little armor. I would suggest to run it as well because 3% armor or whatever it is, 2% doesn't really do anything for you. Now, this tank is 76 in the front, 51 on the sides of the turret, and 51 on the rear, so it is a decently armored turret with the gun mantlet in the front. The hull armor is 65, 42, and 42, so it really doesn't have armor. Don't expect to bounce anything. The view range is 278.8 meters, so it's not wonderful, but it's not bad. Concealment is okay, and the damage per minute is a very healthy 2,000. It's the same as a Cromwell, so that is very good. And the reload time is only 4.8 seconds due to that. The average penetration, however, is a bit lame at only being 130 with AP, 180 with APCR, and 38 with high explosive. In comparison, the Cromwell has about 202 or 203 with its APCR. The average damage is 160 and 120 with APCR, and the aiming time is only 3.1 seconds, which is a bit better than the Cromwell. The dispersion is 0.326, which is decent, the same as the Cromwell, and it has 10 degrees of gun depression, which is actually 2 more than the Cromwell, but 2 less than the Cromwell B, and elevation is 25 degrees, which is very good. The top speed is 55, so it is a bit less than the Cromwell. However, reverse speed is also pretty good at 20. The average speed is only 38, so it's okay. The power to weight ratio is 21, so it is a very good power to weight ratio. It only weighs 27 tons, so I would not suggest to ram anything. That's a very bad idea. Its turret traverse speed is 48.6 degrees a second, and its hull traverse speed is 58.8 degrees a second. So this tank can pretty much aim at anything on a dime. And with its very good aiming time, it actually can snap shells in. The terrain crossing capacity is pretty good. 123 on road, 110 on ground, and 79 on water. And it has 572 horsepower. So this tank's stats are pretty good. But we'll get stuck into some gameplay so that we can go over the tank in general. The first map is Copperfield, as you can see, and we are going to be pushing the medium way. Straight away, I was looking at the lineup, and as you can see, they have a lot of medium tanks. Some of them are quite deadly, but in total they have the Y35s. They have about 5 pretty much medium tanks, including the Chaffee. So I right away knew when this game started that the enemy team was going to be pushing medium. So what I was thinking is I wanted to push around towards C where I could snap shells across. And you can see the power to weight ratio does work very well there as I push up, staying at 36 kilometers an hour. We whiff that first shell in. However, my competitor, the Sherman Firefly, just pulled out as well. And you can see this amazing rate of fire as I just pummel this guy with shell after shell. I don't think he really knew how quick the reload was when he pushed out on me. And you can see it's just very good. Now that shot was my fault. But you can see this tank just has such a nice gun on it. The armor profile, you will see it doesn't really bounce anything, but that's what happens when I guess you run a very good medium tank with pretty good stats all around. Now, comparing this to the Cromwell B, I still think the Cromwell B is a much better choice, just because it is a Cromwell B, and that tank was never free. This tank was free, so it does kind of make sense that Wargaming would make a purchasable tank a bit better than a non. But I still think this tank is a bit of joy to ride. It's very fun. It can be competitive. If you were planning of doing Tier 6 tournaments with it, I would say go ahead. It's not a bad tank at all. You could definitely do a push with it. It has enough damage per minute to contest a Cromwell B or Cromwell, and it definitely outperforms most Tier 6 medium tanks. Now, if you don't have this tank already and you want to know how long it's going to take to earn it, it's going to take you about maybe 130 battles, that's what I'd say. It took me about 100, but I was running boosters. but it shouldn't cost you anything to get this tank. If it does, it's just a couple thousand gold, if anything, really. But I really wouldn't suggest to purchase this tank. I would suggest to free experience it, and I wouldn't actually use your legendary boosters. I actually just read something which kind of sucked for me, but every legendary booster that you have when you finish the event contributes to 100 gold. So if you save all of them, you probably get about, I don't know, let's say 50. If you save all 50 of those, that's 5,000 gold you can save. You can pretty much get a tier 5 tank for free if you wanted, or a tier 6 tank. So you could actually come out with another tier 6 tank from this event. So save your boosters. If you've used some of them, just save the rest. It's definitely worth it to save. But you can see this game, we did 2,831 damage, 55,871 total credits, so it does earn credits. That is one big thing, especially with new players coming into the game. If you are new, this is a great tank to grind credits in, which is very nice. The tier 5 as well is very good at earning credits, so if you do want to earn credits, feel free to run these tanks. They pretty much outperform any other tier 6 I've seen, so that is really good so far. Now I'll get stuck into the second replay. Now the next map is on Castilla, and again I noticed that, as you can see here, they do have some medium tanks, but this time they actually don't look like they are going to push medium. So I wanted to push over to A and shoot a cross over at C. That's what was going through my mind. I was trying to ace this tank. And I just played the Y5 T34. I just gotten the 2 replays for that with the mastery and the one before it, and I decided to play the Firefly for 2 games after that tank just to give it a go, and it turned out those 2 games are the only 2 games I needed for this YouTube video, which is pretty good. That's probably the first time I've actually ever had something like that happen where I just easily got the mastery and finished. So if you are looking to master this tank, I would suggest to play it soon, because as more and more people get it, it's going to be harder and harder to master it. Now everything has worked perfectly. We are going to be pushing up through A, and there is the first target, which always works great. If you notice that the enemy team does not have a lot of mediums and your team does, always push medium if you're able to support the heavies and fire across. It's just like on the map with the river that you cross, Port Bay. If you're on Port Bay, you can go across the river if they don't have mediums and really support your heavies. Now this poor AMX, I don't think he really noticed me shooting him, and the team was shooting him also from the front. And this is how you sort of want to be a really good support tank, especially in this type of tank, is you really want to be able to use your damage per minute to your advantage. Because even though that tank has a very good damage per minute, I caught him out of the blue first. So he's already down 1,000 health to me, and we're already at 1,200 damage within the first 2 minutes. And there are still 5 tanks left on the enemy team. Now you can see the not so great penetration there finally on its downfalls. I don't penetrate that SU, but that excellent aiming time, I'm able to snap a shell into him. And look at this great gun depression it gets. I'm just able to snap both of these shells into him very easily. With the Cromwell, I probably would have not been able to penetrate those shells, and it really wouldn't have been that spectacular. Now this AC, I really wanted to hit him, I just couldn't get the shell out. It just did not want to work, so I figured rushing in on him would be a smarter idea to help out the Dracula and support him by pushing some shells, and somehow the Dracula bounces the Jackson, though, and that pretty much makes his fate a done deal. But now I'm just going to see if I can get as much damage as possible and try to get that mastery. You can see that gun depression just wasn't enough there. Cromwell B probably would have made it work, but I really just wanted to make that damage come out. That Dracula actually survived a bit longer than I expected, though. I should have shot the Sentinel probably now thinking about it, but there was nothing I could have done. And now it's picking on the Tank Destroyer, and I pushed on my fast reloader. And now you can really see this damage per minute just roaring out. It's just pummeling shell after shell into this poor AT-7. and he doesn't look like a very skilled player, as he does not really, I don't even know what he's doing, to be honest. But you can see 2,800 damage, and then 3,000 damage. This tank just has such a good damage per minute, it really makes this tank shine. And you can see that amazing aiming time as I'm just able to snap him and get the high roll for 186 damage. And you can see that game wasn't very tough. It didn't require an amazing amount of skill. Any player could have done that, really. And I managed to pull out 3,000, almost 3,400 damage. We did get the mastery. We got the Radley Walters Award. 75,000 credits, and with only my standard booster, I managed to get 31 candles, so you don't really need to run your 60 candle booster. Save it, because every one equals 100 gold. Every single one. Keep them all. You can see that this tank's just really good. I think it's a great vehicle. 5 kills, 25 shells fired, which is a crazy amount. But yeah, it's just a really good vehicle, and I do like the way it looks. I like that Wargaming made a unique design for this vehicle, and I think Wargaming really just outdid themselves with this event, and go enjoy this tank. Thank you for watching my video.